Hello and welcome to IITN Academy. In this session, we will learn about force and laws of motion. A push or pull on a body is called force. The direction in which a body is pushed or pulled is called the direction of force. Forces are used in our everyday actions, like pushing, pulling, lifting, stretching, twisting, and pressing. For example, a force is used when we hit a hockey ball forward. A force is used when we pull the drawer of a table. A force is used when we lift a box from the floor. A force is used when we stretch a rubber band.
So in this slide, we just are giving the definition of the force. So what is a force? Just remember this line. A push or a pull on a body is called a force. So a push or a pull on a body is called a force. What is a push? Push is basically like this is push. Okay. And what is pull? Pull is like taking out this towards your direction. So this is pull. So this is pull and this is push. So pull or push on a body is called a force. And so forces are used in everyday life, whatever we do. So for example, pushing, pulling, lifting, stretching, all these are the example where the forces are applied.
Here, we will learn about effects of force. A force cannot be seen. A force can be judged only by the effects which it can produce in various bodies or objects around us. A force can produce the following effects. A force can move a stationary body. A force can stop a moving body. A force can change the speed of a moving body. A force can change the direction of a moving body. A force can change the shape and size of a body.
So in this slide, we are just see the examples what a force can do. So for example, if a body is moving, okay, a force can stop it. If you apply a force in opposite direction, this moving body will stop. Okay, so this is second example. The first one is if a body is stationary. Okay, if a body is stationary, if you apply a force, it start moving. Okay, so the force here you can see is stopped the moving body. Here it can start a stationary body. A force can change the speed of a moving body. So if a body was moving, for example, with a speed of 5 meter per second, and if you apply opposite force here, the speed will reduce. So maybe it will reduce to 1 meter per second. But if you apply force in this direction, the more speed will increase. Earlier it was 5, now it will increase to maybe 8 meter per second. Okay, so a force can change the speed of a moving body. A force can change the direction of moving body. So for example, this body was moving like this, and if there is a force applied in this direction, it will start moving like this. So the direction is changed. Similarly, a force can change the shape. Body was like this, and then if you apply a force like this and this, so body will become like this. So it has changed the size of the body.
Forces are of two types: balanced forces and unbalanced forces. We will now discuss balanced and unbalanced force. Balanced forces: if the resultant of all the forces acting on a body is 0, the forces are called balanced forces. When balanced forces act on the body, they do produce any motion in it. If a number of balanced forces act on a stationary body, the body continue to remain in its stationary position. Similarly, If a number of balanced forces act on a body in uniform motion, the body continues to be in its state of uniform motion.
Here we are basically studying the two types of forces. So what we are saying, there are two types of forces: balanced force and unbalanced force. So for example, if this is a body, okay, and there is a force like this, force 5 Newton. Newton is unit of the force and 5 is the magnitude in this direction. So for example, this is east direction, and there is another force opposite to it, which is also 5 Newton. So here you see the resultant force is 5 minus 5, which is 0. This kind of situation is called a balanced force situation. So this is balanced force. What does it mean? It means for the motion there is no impact of this force. So if this body was stationary, okay, body A, if A was stationary means it was not moving, then it will continue stationary. It will continue stationary, okay, or at rest. So this is balance force. This is what? Balance force. Okay, so you understood the balance force. Balance force is a condition where on a body the resultant force is 0. So resultant force is 0, so that there is no impact on the motion of that body.
This is example of a balance forces. A block of mass M presses down on a table, deforming it somewhat because of the gravitational force F on the block. Table pushes up on the block with normal force N. Thus, you can see gravitational force and normal force cancel each other out, and resultant force is 0. Hence, this is example of balance forces.
So here you see there is an example, the day-to-day life example of a balanced force. So this is a table, okay, and on this there is a block. So this is a block, okay, of mass M. Now you see this block of mass M pushes down this table with force Fg. Fg is gravitational force. You will study in detail of gravitational force in class 9th and onward. So this is the force because of the weight of the body or the mass of the body. Okay, so this is a mass of the body M, which gives a gravitational force on the table. Now there is another force called normal force. Okay, that also you will study later on. What this normal force does, it acts opposite to gravitational force from the table on the block. Okay, that's why you see if you put a block on your table, it's not moving in either direction, neither down nor up. Okay, you may wonder why. Because there is a normal force that acts on the body which cancel out the gravitational force. So if you see on this word, this is the block. Okay, you see there is a force normal in y positive direction. For example, this is y and this is x. So then the gravitational force is negative to y, and then Fg basically is equal to Fn. Okay, this normal force you will study later, and this cancelled out. So what is the resultant force on this? Resultant force on this is 0. Okay, so this is basically Fg minus Fn. Now Fg minus Fn is 0 because Fg and Fn are equal. So this condition, this is an example of a balanced force condition. So you may have seen that if you put a block on a table, it doesn't move anywhere. So balanced force doesn't have any impact on the motion of a body.
Though balanced forces cannot produce motion in a stationary body or stop a moving body, however, it may change the shape of the body. Unbalanced forces. When an unbalanced force acts on a body, it produces motion in the body. Another point to be noted is that an unbalanced force can also stop a moving body. You can see here, resultant force is in this way, and hence both mass moves downwards. You will see this figure of block hanging a pulley again and again in subsequent classes.
So here we will see the effect of the force. So see, this is the balanced force. So there is a force acting from this direction and there is a force acting on this one on a balloon. So although there is no effect on the motion of this body, but there is an effect on the shape of this body. So if you see, this was originally circular, now is pressed from both the side, okay, and it become a oval maybe. So there is a change in the shape of the body, although there is no impact on the motion of the body because of the balanced force. Now what is the impact of unbalanced force? Unbalanced force have an impact on the motion of a body. So for example, here you see there is a 2 mass M on the table, and table doesn't have any friction, and there is another box M hanging on a pulley. So this is called a pulley, you know, is connected through a rope. Now this figure you will continue seeing from 9th class onward. This is very famous pulley and block example. It will have so many questions also. Later on you have to find out with what velocity is going down, with what speed is going in this direction, what is the tension in the rope. You know, all those things we will learn as we go in class 10th and class 11th. But for here, for our example perspective of unbalanced force, so unbalanced force produces a change in the motion. So either it can introduce a motion or it can stop. So for example, if a block here moving with velocity v, and if unbalanced force is in this direction, okay, then this body may stop or reduce the velocity.